This webinar is designed to assist the user in creating a home and community-based settings assessment in the Adidas system. To begin, the user will type their user ID in the field. Next, you would enter your password. Then click the Login button. I have the MR admin role, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to change it to the MR provider role. The provider screen will show a list of chapters on the left side. You would click on the provider's chapter. On your screen, only the name of your provider may appear in this area. However, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to search for the Developmental Disabilities provider's name by clicking on this area and entering some search information and clicking Go. The provider's demographics page is displayed. Along the middle are tabs. One of the tabs is the Assessment tab. You would click on that tab. At the top, the menu area has Add Assessment. You would click on that. This is the beginning of creating the assessment in Adidas. This is a drop-down that lists items or assessments that are available. You would choose the HCBS checklist, highlight it, and click on it. Before we continue, I'll tell you a little information about your screen. Across the menu bar, you see File, there's a spell check, Save Assessment, Save and Close Assessment, Print, and Close Assessment. You'll also see fields that have a red asterisk next to each one of them. These fields with the red asterisks are required fields. Adidas will not allow you to save the document without some input in these fields. There are also fields that are grayed out. These fields cannot be edited. The assessment is divided into 3 sections. Section 1 is the HCBS Criteria. Section 2 is the residential setting specific. And Section 3 is the settings that are not home and community based. Section 1 and 2 are formatted similarly. They each have a question followed by bullet points, a response area, which is a checkbox, and the comments area. A reminder, the asterisk in the comments area indicates that it's a required field. It's very important in sections 1 and 2 that you read the instructions carefully. The response, if yes, checkbox, and list evidence to support in the comments area, this area below. And if your response is no, do not check the box. However, you still have to explain it in the comments area. Sections 1 and Section 2 have the same format. Question, bullet points, response with the checkbox, the comments with the area for your comments. Section 1 and Section 2. Section 3, however, is developed a little differently. It has a question with the red asterisk, meaning that it's required. To answer this question, you must check either yes or no in the radio buttons provided. Note that only one can be checked at one time. You have to choose either yes or no. And after answering whatever the question may be, you must complete the comments. There are 4 questions in Section 4. Now we'll go back to the top of the assessment and discuss the individual fields. This area, the provider assessment, has several fields that must be populated. The review field, note the red asterisk, has a drop-down button that has several items you can choose from. You will select Assessment, highlight that word, and click. It will appear in the box. The date is automatically pre-filled with the current date. You can either type the date in, 09, in that manner, or you can select the date using the calendar icon to the right of that field and just click on the date you select. We'll discuss the status field in just a moment. Now the fund code is also with a red asterisk. The only option there is MR. The next field is the region field. Choose the region where you're located. Highlight it, click on that item, and it will appear in the box. The provider type is a set of radio buttons indicating whether you are a contractor or a subcontractor. You can only select one or the other. The provider certified subcontractor field has ellipses to the right. Click on that ellipsis and a dialog box will appear. There are 2 ways to search using this option. You may either click on the box to the right that states Get all provider records, and then click on the search button. Or, with that box unchecked, you can go to this box and just enter the name of your provider or a partial, and then click on search. Both options require the search button. Click on the search. A list of providers will appear. I am selecting the Division of Developmental Disabilities. It's highlighted. I will click on that provider's name. Now it appears in the box where the field is located. The next field is the site number. Notice the red asterisk. It is also required. You will enter your site number there. Service type has a drop down and several items to select from. Highlight the item that relates to your provider and click that item for it to appear in the field. The size and capacity field is also required. You must enter an amount in that area. Notice the grayed out fields: approved date, approved by, and expiration date, and the expired field. They're all grayed out and cannot be edited. Now for entering the data. The first section, the HCBS Criteria. Notice the comments area all have red asterisks. You must carefully read the question and answer the response accordingly. The response says, if yes, check the box and list evidence to support in the comments area. So if your answer is yes, you would check this box, and then you would place comments in the area. If you do not, if your answer is no, do not check the box and explain why in the comments area below. So if my answer was no, the box would remain unchecked, but I will still have to place comments in this area. Now, these comments fields are all required, so they must have something in it in order for Adidas to allow you to save this document. For demonstration purposes, I would just select a few questions and answer. See that I'm putting something in the comments field in each question. I'll just alternate. Now in section 2, remember it's formatted similar to section 1. If yes, you check the box and you list the evidence in the comments area. If no, do not check the box and explain why in the comments area. Note the comments area has the red asterisk, so we must apply information in the box. I would just alternate information just for demonstration purposes. Section 3 is formatted, as I mentioned, a little different than section 1 and 2. They have radio buttons that are yes or no answers. The question is required. You must complete the radio button. You must answer yes or no. The comments area is also a required field, and you must answer some comment in this field. So for demonstration purposes, we will put information in all of the required fields, except the last field. We see that the question, yes or no, must be answered according to the red asterisk, and we also see the comments field must be completed because it's a required field. If you do not complete those fields, you will get an error message. So I'm taking you back to the top of the screen, and we will select Save, and you will see the error message you would encounter if you do not complete the fields that are required. A message from the web page will appear, and it basically tells you which box is required field that is not completed. To correct this, click OK. Then you would go to the particular field that is incomplete, and notice that it gives you additional information here in red to assist you in completing the box. So we will click yes, and we will put a comment in the area. That should satisfy the requirements. Now, let's go back to the top of the assessment screen where the menu bar is at the top. Now we will address the status field. You see it's a required field as well. Change it to complete after you have entered all of your required fields in the sections below. So highlight complete, and it will appear in the box. After entering complete, you would save the assessment or save and close assessment. So let's save and close the assessment, and if there are any errors, it will indicate during this time. After you successfully save the assessment, you will get a dialog box saying the save was successful. You would just click on OK. After you click OK, the assessment area will reappear, and the grid below will show the assessment that was just entered. Notice if you click on the assessment, the screen reappears, but the fields are grayed. All of the fields, the answers, your comments, all of them are grayed, which means these fields cannot be edited. Close the assessment. This is the end of the webinar for the provider's role. Next, we will discuss the regional office. I will go change the role to regional office and click go. The chapters appearing to the left, you would select the provider's chapter, and again, you should see only those providers that you have access to. I will select Developmental Disabilities again, so we can review the assessments we created earlier by the provider. Here's the Division of Developmental Disabilities provider. I'm going into that. This is the demographics page for them, and here's the assessment tab. Click on the assessment tab, and the assessment screen will appear, and at the bottom you will see the grid that lists the HCBS checklist assessments that were created previously. You will select the checklist, and as mentioned, all of the fields are grayed. For historical purposes, the document that was created cannot be edited. However, the regional office can use another feature that Adidas offers. Across the top in the menu area, you see Duplicate Assessment. Click on Duplicate Assessment, and a copy of that assessment will appear. Notice that the fields are now open for editing. Also note that the fields with the asterisk next to them are required fields. There are also fields that are continued to be grayed. The questions and answers are also in edit mode. So all of this information is now ready for editing. Any updates, any modifications to this record can be made at this time. First, on the review field, you must click on Assessment, which is available in the drop-down. Any items on the assessment that need to be corrected can be done at this time. After modifications are complete, then we will save or save and close assessment. There is also an option to copy from previous. At this time, we will save and close this assessment that was updated by the regional office. A dialog box will appear that says the save was successful. You would click OK. This concludes the webinar. If you have any additional questions, please contact the central office or your regional office. Thank you.